Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a John Fogerty inspired rhythm and lead. So in this video, we're just going to focus on the lead parts. I'm going to break down everything that I played in the intro, note for note, and we'll dissect it. I'll explain where all the notes come from, and you'll be able to start using these licks in your playing. If you'd like to learn the rhythm, which is really cool, as well as download the tablature and the MP3 jam track, which I have in two tempos. So I have the tempo I played, and then I've got a slower tempo for those of you that are just getting started with this. You can download all of that and the on-screen tab viewer. I always forget that, but that's another really cool feature. You can get all of that at ActiveMelody.com. Just go to the lessons page and do a search for EP201. That's a lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and get started with John Fogerty, Part 1. Alright, so before we get started, if you haven't listened to the album Blue Moon Swamp by John Fogerty, make sure you check that out. It's definitely one of the best albums of the 90s. Every track on it is fantastic, and there's some great guitar playing. It's a fun album to put on and just play along with. I'll put it that way. It's one of the go-to albums for me. And so check that out if you haven't. Alright, so this song is in the key of E, and we're going to go down in first position, pattern 1 of the E minor pentatonic scale, which looks like this. And I cover that, and I cover all the 5 patterns in the blues lead course at ActiveMelody.com, so check that out if you need a review or if you haven't looked at that. But anyway, we're going to be in pattern 1, and the very first thing that happens is this bend here on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. And that's hard to do, by the way. It's hard to bend in this position. When you're that close to the nut, you don't have as much leverage to bend, so you're going to have to really push, put a little muscle into it. But it's a downstroke with the right hand. And then I come up and play an upstroke on the 1 string, and then a downstroke on the 2nd string, or the B string. So all together we have... And that's a great little twangy lick, and we're going to learn these little phrases, and I'll show you how to translate them and play them in other keys, so you're not just locked into playing them in E. But anyway, that's how it starts. And then the next little part goes... So the second phrase, if you will, starts here on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. It's another bend. And then we do the open 1 string and the open 2 string again. So if you think of it in these little blocks, here's block 1. And then here's block 2. Alright, so backing up we have... Now we're going to go back to the 2nd fret, 3rd string, do that bend again, open 1 string, and then I play this little fast run that goes... And it's easier to play than you think, so don't let the word fast scare you off. It's alternate picking, so the right hand is just down, up, like that. And we start with a downstroke, and I use my middle finger to play all these notes here with my left hand. So we're starting on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. That's a downstroke. Then we do the open B string with an upstroke. Then middle finger down on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. Another upstroke with the open G string. So we have... And then a downstroke on the 2nd fret, 4th string. So when we play them all together, it happens quickly like this. So just, if you want to set a metronome or something just to practice that little phrase, any of these phrases that give you hiccups, you can either skip them when you're going through this and playing along with a jam track, or you can try working them out. And you know, to work them out, the best way to do that is with a metronome. Over and over again, and muscle memory will kick in and you'll be able to do it. Okay, so backing up from the beginning, we have... Alright, now, the next thing, I go into this little phrase that, very John Fogerty, I hear him do this a lot. He plays a lot around the dominant 7th. So really all I'm doing is I'm tracing the notes out of an E7 chord. So if you think of an E7 chord like this, I'm playing, just playing the notes out of the chord. But those notes are open 3rd string, and then a hammer on to the 1st fret, 3rd string. And then I do an upstroke on the 1 string. Now when I'm playing that, I often will hit the 1 and the 2 string, because it's just the top part of an E chord. So if you hit the 1 string, that's fine. If you hit the 1 and 2 string, that's fine. Either way works. I think that adding the 2 strings together gives you a little more of a substance, a little more meat. And then I came down to the 3rd fret, 2nd string, and play that note, and then back to the 1 string. Now another way to think about that is, like I said, just make the E7 chord and then just hammer on with your index finger there, and then play the 2nd string there and then back to the 1 string, if that makes it easier to build it around the chord that way. Okay, from the beginning now we have. Alright, so now that we have that first little set of licks down, let's talk about the timing when they come in. So if you're counting this in, you'd count it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that bend happens on the 2 of that first measure. So you got 1, 2. Okay, so just remember that it comes in on the 2. When you're playing along with a jam track, don't start it right on the 1. Let's count it out in your head, 1, and then come in on the 2. Okay, now the next phrase that I played is an E7 chord, and I always think of this as the Red House chord. You know, in Red House, it's just a little triad, very easy shape to make. It's the same shape as a D7 chord. We're just sliding it up 2 frets to make that an E7 chord. And so I slide into that chord and I play the 3rd string, and then I play string 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now look at how I'm playing that with my right hand. I'm using hybrid picking for this, and I use a lot of hybrid picking on this. I'll call it out as I do it. But that's a ring finger, middle finger, pick, ring, middle, pick. That's easier for me than trying to pick the notes with a pick. Now either way would be correct. There is no right answer on this. That's just a preference thing. So try it both ways, but if you can get used to hybrid picking and keeping your hand in a little position here where these fingers, my middle ring finger rather, lines up over the 1 string, middle finger over the 2 string, it helps with a lot of these little runs where you don't have to try and be so accurate with your pick. Sometimes you can mess up that way, or at least I do. Okay. The other thing is I'm giving it a little vibrato there. You don't have to do that, but I just find that sounds interesting. It creates like a tremolo effect while you're playing that. And Robert Cray is the master of that. If you're interested in that, he's the where I got it. You know, doing these really cool vibratos like that. Okay, so the song stays in E7, so we're not switching chords at this point, and so the next lick goes. So let's talk through that. All this is, I've got my middle finger on the 4th fret 3rd string, my index finger on the 3rd fret 2nd string, and that's the little bridge between pattern 1 and pattern 2. It's the bottom part of pattern 2. Think of it that way, from minor pentatonic scale. I always call this the bridge because in my mind I just picture a little bridge going from up here to up here. It just seems like it looks almost like a bridge, at least visually for me. But anyway, that's what we're doing there. So I'm playing string 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, and they're triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm sliding into that 3rd fret each time, or sorry, the 3rd string each time. So that's how I did the first time. Now the second time I went, so I played strings 3, 2, 1, open 1 string. So, and I played that twice, the 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. And then that's how I ended it. Very country. And so for that, I'm going from the 4th fret back to the 2nd fret on the 3rd string. Little hammer on between the open 3rd string and the 1st fret. And then I'm playing my middle finger on the 2nd fret 4th string and then the open 1 string. So slowly it looks like this. It's a great way to round off a lick. It's very clean, and I don't know where this came from or who I borrowed that from. That's not John Fogerty, but John Fogerty does play that. But It's a great way to conclude a phrase. And just remember, as you're learning these things, don't just get locked into, oh, I can only do that phrase in the key of E. How would that work in A? Well, you can do that. You just got to work it out. Right? There's a little bar. So always try and work this stuff into other keys. Let me back up now, and we'll take it from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, now at this point, the song switches to the 5 chord, which is a B7. Okay, and so that's a kind of a standard John Fogerty song structure where you're not just going to play a 1, 4, 5. You go from the 1 to the 5, and then back to the 1. All right, a little plug here for premium members. You do have access to the rhythm section as well. So as I talk through the song structure here, that'll be one thing. In fact, it would be a good thing to start with that rhythm. It's a lot of fun to play, and I've got the tab and everything, so I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so when we go to the 5 chord, notice what I'm doing here. I'm making it here on this. I've got the bar on the 7th fret. So if you think of your E chord here, down in first position, you know, that's your 1 chord. Your 5 chord is up here. And the reason I came up to this position is we're going to repeat a lot of what we did down here, but we're going to do it here so that you can start thinking about how you transpose those licks that you've already learned. So the next thing I played, that's what we're going to learn. And that is just basically copying that, but playing it over the B chord. And so this is called playing the chord changes when you're doing this. Now, John Fogerty doesn't always do this, but he does occasionally play the chord changes. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to start here on this. So get your head around this chord shape. And all the licks that we learned in pattern 1, well, they're all going to be kind of happening here now. So we're going to start on the 7th fret 3rd string, and then we're going to come to the 9th fret 3rd string, and we're going to do a full bend. Now notice what happened here. When I did that bend, my index finger went ahead and barred strings 1 and 2 on the 7th fret. And I'm getting myself in position for the Chuck Berry. Right? I mean, because a lot of lead stuff happens in this little shape here. This is home base for me anyway. And it is for a lot of guitar players. So we start here on the 7th fret 3rd string. And then that's just a little pickup note. And then we come to that 9th fret. And then I play out the 1 string. And then the 2 string. Behind the bar there on the 7th fret. And then I do my ring finger on the 10th fret 2nd string. And then do a full bend, and then we come back to the 7th fret 1st string. So let's just stop there and try that. That's what that looks like. Actually start it with the pickup note. Okay, now that is same thing, right? We just played it in a different position. So hopefully a light bulb goes off for you, so you start to think, oh, so all these licks that I'm doing down here, I can do them in any key, especially if I just find the chord. If you want to do it in G, you could do it right there, right? And just find that major bar chord and work your licks around that. Okay, so when I came up to here, the next thing I played was, it's just a real fast set of 3 notes. So that note, 7th fret 1st string, 10th fret 2nd string, and then the 7th fret 2nd string. So it goes. And that's a up, down, up, down, up. That's how that looks with the right hand. And then I came back down to the 9th fret 3rd string, did a bend. Now notice I'm using hybrid picking here. I'm doing the bend, or the pick on the 3rd string, and the pluck on the 1st string. That's easier for me than trying to get my pick from here to here without hitting the wrong string. So it's just that is easier than that. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Then I ended that with, and that's just a bend on the 9th fret 3rd string, bend and release, 7th fret 3rd string, 9th fret 4th string. So that's what the lick looks like. And you just take that little lick and start using that. And the way you want to practice is to put on another song if you need to, just to reiterate the point, another jam track, another whatever. And look at that lick that you just learned. If it was in the key of G sharp, and just do it over and over again. It'll start to really sink in that how that works in relation to the key that you're in. Okay, I've beat that up. And then I played this little thing, which is really cool, very signature John Fogerty. There's a song called, it's called Just Pickin', I think. It's an instrumental on Blue Moon Swamp, and that's where I got this lick. Really cool, and actually I added that to my arsenal. It's not something I would normally do. Now I would do this, but I don't think to go. It sounds wrong almost, but right. So really, there's two ways to look at what's happening here. Actually, let me show you how to play it, and then I'll get into why. So we slide up to the 9th fret 3rd string, and then play the 8th fret 2nd string, and then back to the 9th fret 3rd string. That's how we start it. And then my ring finger comes up here to the 9th fret 1st string. Now look at the shape I'm making. It's that same little D7 shape again. We're just making it up here now. And then once I come up here, I play string. I'll go 1, 2, 1, 2. These are the string numbers. And it's just tracing this chord shape. Now, part of the twang of that is when I hit the 2nd string. Here I'm pushing it up just a little bit, giving it a little sharp, as opposed to playing it flat. It just sort of, you could do it that way, it just creates a different tension, I guess. Now, so that's how you play it, and all that is, as I kind of analyze it, you can look at it two ways. One is this note is in the major pentatonic scale. So that's kind of a clash to that, which is in the minor pentatonic scale. So that's why you have this kind of weird clash thing going on. The other way you can look at it is it's just the top part of a diminished chord, like the E diminished 7 chord. So you're just playing really those top 3 strings of the E diminished 7. So either way you want to look at it, that's why it works. Alright, so as we're playing, the song is back to that E7. So it went from the E7 to the B7, we're back to the E7. And now it's going to go to a A7 to a C, and then back. Now it's just a chord change that I thought represented John Fogerty and CCR, and I've heard that kind of thing done quite a bit. So as we're playing, remember that's over the E7. Now I'm going to show you this lick, and remember that's over the A7. Now we're staying, in my mind, I'm just staying in E, even though I switched in the one place to play over the 5 chord, I switched to the B7, or the B minor pentatonic scale in that one spot. We're going now back to the E minor pentatonic scale, and we're going to stay there for the rest of the song. So, look at this lick. It's very cool, and it sounds more complicated than it is. It starts with an open 1 string. All these notes are going to be played on the 1 string, the high E string. 3rd fret, 5th fret. So we start with open, 3rd, 5th, and then we slide up to the 7th, open, 5th, open, 3rd, open. So all together, it's a nice little lick that works over an E, in the key of E. And now the next thing I played was, that's doubling up. So now we're going to play the open 1 string along with the 2nd string. And I use my middle finger for this, but I start on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. And I do 2 slides from the 3rd fret up to the 5th fret. And then slide it back down. Now remember to let that high E string ring out with it. And then I'd take it off, and take my left hand off the fretboard and play strings 1 and 2 together, open. So, alright, so from the beginning of that. And then I played that lick again. Now we've already covered that one. That's a little bridge part I was showing you, and it's just strings 3, 2, and 1. And then I'm playing this interesting lick that I heard, and I can't remember what song, but really cool lick. It's one of my favorites in this whole little run here. And what I'm doing is I'm going from this little bridge thing, and I'm just taking that and I'm sliding it up 2 frets. So I'm playing starting on the 4th fret, 3rd string, sliding up to the 6th fret, 3rd string. And then I'm going to play strings 2 and then back to 3. And that 2 is on the, when I say string 2, that's behind the 5th fret there. And then I put my pinky down on the 7th fret, 1st string. And then I come all the way down to the 3rd fret, 1st string. So let me play just that little phrase. And then we're playing the open 1 string. And then the open 2 string. So. And then we're going to play the 3rd fret, 2nd string. And the open 1 string. So let's just look at that. Let's start it from the beginning of this. Now I come up here and I do a hammer on to the 2nd fret, 1st string, open 1 string, 3rd fret, 2nd string, open 2nd string. I know this is a mouthful. There's a lot going on here. That's what that looks like. Let me do that slowly, just that little part. Now we're going to go back to kind of the way we started this thing, where I do a bend on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. And it's a bend up to do the bend, and then we play the open 1 string. And again, I'm using hybrid picking for that. Pick, pluck, and then do another bend and release on the 2nd fret, 3rd string. And then I played this, which we covered earlier in this, and that's just that hammer on between the 3rd fret, on the 3rd string, between the open 3rd string and the 1st fret. And then to play the open 1 string. There's the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Back to the open 1 string. Okay, we're almost finished with it. Let me back up from... And then the very final lick I played was... And that's just the 2nd fret, 3rd string, bending and releasing. Then the open 3rd string, open G string. And then I came out and did a hammer on to the 2nd fret, 4th string. So, and at that point you would, where the jam track kicks in, you would, it's going to loop there, and you would start it all over again. So when you're playing along with the jam track, just to keep looping, you would pick it up right there and start the whole thing over again. So that's a lot of information, but it's just all pulled from like very signature John Fogerty stuff. And hopefully this helps you realize what a great guitar player John Fogerty is. He's very underrated in that respect. All right, let me back up and play through the entire thing slowly so you have that one final take. Make sure you practice this along with the jam track. It keeps you on tempo and it helps put everything in reference. So it's a great way to practice and really learn these things. And then you've got the tablature as well if you need that. And don't forget to check out the rhythm, because that's like a whole other world of fun, is learning the John Fogerty rhythm stuff. All right, here we go, slowly. Let me count it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.